first saw Srila Prabhupada at the airport in 1974 when he was arriving for Rath Yatra. And it was very crowded, and I just remember seeing Srila Prabhupada as much smaller than I expected from his, his pictures. And I just felt really grateful that I could finally see my spiritual master. And then I saw him again on the Rath Yatra cart. I was able to walk along beside him, and he was wearing a little hand-knit cap, and he looked so sweet. And we had a little bit of eye contact then. It was 1974, July, and I had traveled by traveling Sankirtan from Dallas to Washington, D.C., and I was going to get my Brahmin initiation from Srila Prabhupada. And the system was that you went up to his quarters, and Srila Prabhupada personally gave you the Gayatri Mantra. So I was, very excited that I was going to finally be alone with my spiritual master. And I had tried to think of a deep philosophical question that I could ask him. So I don't know how deep it was, but I don't remember. But so it was my turn to go in, and I saw Srila Prabhupada. He was sitting on a cushion behind a low table, and he was so effulgent and so beautiful. And I just felt so much awe, and I was also very, very nervous. I paid my obeisances, and I put the Guru Dakshin and the flowers on his table, and I stood up, and Srila Prabhupada was looking at me right in the eyes. And like so many devotees, you had that sense that he was just looking right into your heart and seeing all the dirt that's there, and also just everything about your soul. So then Srila Prabhupada asked me a question, and I couldn't understand what he said. So I said, "Excuse me, Srila Prabhupada?" And he said the question again, and I still couldn't understand him. So I mean, I'd never had trouble understanding Srila Prabhupada, but the one time I'm alone with him, I can't understand what he's saying. So I had to ask him a third time, "Srila Prabhupada, I'm sorry, I just don't understand what you're saying." And then finally I understood, and he was just asking, "Are there any more people out there that waiting to be initiated?" And I said, "No, Srila Prabhupada." So at this point I wasn't going to ask any deep philosophical questions. So then he asked me to come sit beside him, and I did, and then he had me come closer right next to him. And I was just feeling so overwhelmed to be sitting right next to Jagadguru, my spiritual master. And so he said to me, "So you know how to do this?" And he moved his fingers like you move for Gayatri Mantra. And I said, "Oh yes, Srila Prabhupada." But then when I tried to do it, I just couldn't do it. I was so overwhelmed. So he took his hand and he moved my fingers for me, which was really, so kind. And my realization was that even though I was acting like such a fool in front of my spiritual master, that he was never impatient or angry or disturbed or disgusted. He was just kind and compassionate, and I also really felt how Srila Prabhupada had unconditional love for me. Okay, this was in Dallas, Gurukula, and Srila Prabhupada was visiting, and one afternoon he was giving a lecture or conversation in his garden, and I wanted to go hear him, but my authority said, "Better you just do your service, that will please Srila Prabhupada." So me and this other devotee went upstairs, and we were making flower garlands. And then finally we looked at each other and thought, "Are we crazy? We can do this at midnight if we have to, but when will we have an opportunity to hear our spiritual master again?" So we ran downstairs, and there was a bamboo fence in front of the garden, and so we were peeking through the bamboo fence, and Srila Prabhupada wasn't that far away, we could actually hear him. And then all of a sudden Prabhupada turned around and looked at us and said, "Who is that?" And I thought, "Oh no, now I'm in trouble." But somebody peeked out and said to Srila Prabhupada, "It's two Matajis." And he said, "Oh, ask them to come in." So it was packed, but they had to scoot over and let us in because Srila Prabhupada had personally asked us. And I don't remember anything from that lecture except one boy asked Srila Prabhupada, "Why is Krishna blue?" And Srila Prabhupada said, "Because he wants to be." The one quality that I always believed Srila Prabhupada had that made him stand out from everybody else was how he really loved us. He just exhibited his love in all his dealings with the devotees, and no matter what we did, he still loved us.
Je anilo